About 4 o'clock in the morning, we received a water flow sensor. It took me about 15 minutes to get on site. There was water coming out of the front doors. I entered in through our admin entrance where there was already water downstairs. Made my way up here. Essentially all of our sprinklers had busted. One would burst, hit another one, it would burst. And all of the water was rushing downstairs, out of the doors, and any egress that it could find.
This building was built as a symbol of Texas. And Texas is hurting today. And so is this building. We have a good team here, a knowledgeable team. Fortunately, we have volunteer conservationists who are simply triaging for us so we can figure out where are our highest priorities. The whole building is a work of art. It's both in the walls and it is the wall. Much of this building contains symbols related to the history of Texas. You will see carvings, you will see photographs, you will see murals, all that relate to the history of Texas. And those all will need to be assessed.
In what is considered a worst case scenario, we were on it within 4 hours. We had 40 people here. It's pretty amazing what was done in that short period of time, because it could have been a whole lot worse given what happened.
Orotones, oro meaning gold, have in some ways stayed in the background for many years, largely because they are embedded into the walls and because exhibitions sort of occur around them. In the process of the restoration, I started discovering who this artist was and how these pieces end up on the wall. A woman traveling around by herself in 1935 in a truck in the back roads of Texas. She's 25 years old, trying to capture life in Texas in the Depression. As we looked at everything that was artwork in the Hall of State, this has become a priority to conserve this artwork.
The fire suppression system burst the pipes and then poured water down through the Orotone.
It has a tab like this buried in there. This is the only one that has these. Yeah.
What they're trying to do is make sure anything that might fall doesn't fall.
Right.
And unfortunately, it just fell.
It just fell.
And that happens to be one of my kind of personal favorites.
I have confidence that they're going to do what needs to be done right now.
Right.
It was so damaged that we knew we were going to have to create some kind of surrogate for it. We began to triage them and move them into a safe place. All of them needed to have conservation treatment at that point. When I originally met Lizanne, we walked into this room first, and she had an expression on her face that gave me great concern. And I said, you know, have we waited too long to address these objects? And she said, no, these are mammoth. I was expecting to see something that was 5 by 7. She worked in France at the Rodin Museum and in a photo conservation in the Netherlands. So she brought that international expertise to what are these objects, how do we research them, how are they made, how am I going to treat them with technical knowledge and then respect for the artist.
You can see it start to lift and flake. So this particular object is actually 3 sheets of glass. Holly Smith took the negatives that she had made in her travels, and from those negatives, this very large glass positive was made. It's a gelatin silver emulsion that has been processed so that we see a positive image. The second sheet is an opaque white sheet of glass, and that helps us see the image. And then the third component is a bronze colored mirror. And so that's what gives it its golden bronze color.
I cannot restore them. There's very little technology out there today that would allow me to go in and faithfully reproduce the original look and appearance of it.
So we took the original print, made a copy negative, and then made a digital large format contact negative.
So they called me to see if I could make a plate at that size. And I had to make some calls to see if it was even possible, because a lot of the machines that used to do it aren't around anymore. They've been dismantled or destroyed.
I tried a couple different things.
So I called up my friend Jason Lane, who's made a good part-time business coating dry plates for photographers all around the world. So he subbed the plate so that it could take the photosensitive emulsion.
He is helping load it into the truck.
They didn't have the negative anymore, the original negative of Polly's, but they had a print that she had made, an 8x10. And so we got a good scan of that and made a digital negative. Right out of the gate, I'm very nervous. I was nervous I was going to open the box and it was going to be cracked and broken. It didn't survive the trip. The developer that we used is not a developer that's made anymore. We've had to re-engineer it from scratch, from old recipes, because the tonality to match, and we wanted to be of that era so that, again, it would match the other plates. You know, this is glass. It can flex a tiny bit, but really not much at all. And so we were practicing going through the motions, one, so that we could kind of get a feel for how we synced up together, and two, just to make sure that we were doing it in a way that wasn't going to damage it. But the safe light was very dim. It took several minutes just for our eyes to adjust to where we could see anything. We wanted to keep it as dim as possible to keep our working time as long as possible. I had a portable little red light, but I had to be very quick about that as well, again, because we don't want to fog the plate.
3, 2, 1.
The feeling that you get when you see the image come up in the developer. It comes up slowly at first and then relatively quickly.
When we did the 8x10s, it went black, but for a little while you could kind of see it.
Yeah, that's the magic moment. That's one of the things that you sort of romanticize and love about analog photography. I was pleased with what I saw. It came up very clean.
We did it right.
Nice and tidy, nice and tight. Yeah. We have to pack the plate up. Again, we're moving this thing, and now it's really, you thought I was nervous before, now we're really there. And to get that packed up and take it back over to the Hall of State. It's worth doing all this work, one, to honor the artist that originally shot these photos. So it was worth it to go through all of this, one, to do something that hasn't been done in, I don't know, at least 50 years, I imagine, as far as I know. They're beautiful. They have a wonderful glow to them. It's not like a paper print at all. It's something you really got to be in the room with. It sort of shifts with you, the light, the way it reflects in through the windows at that place. Quite lovely. You know, that's one of the reasons we like to do analog stuff, is because those processes, if taken care of, can last hundreds of years. You know, it's nice to project yourself into the future, I guess, a little bit. You know, it's like an old man planting trees that he'll never sit in the shade of, you know.
Surrogates are intended as a replacement image so that the viewer can get as close of an experience to the original object as possible. If we were to be able to put this into, say, Photoshop, we could adjust everything. But we truly wanted a gelatin dry plate image on glass to match all of the others so that we'd have a true surrogate, but we got as close as we could. But there has to be a slight difference. And part of the mission of the Historical Society and the city is to include a small explanation so that we know immediately this is not a period photograph. This is a duplicate contemporary.
It's been about 4 years to have the completion of the restoration and the stabilization of the oratones on these walls. Well, to see them all up, you know, with the surrogate actually was one of my favorite images. The other one of my favorite images is Polly Smith walking away. In many ways, I feel like Polly Smith's final image in this show, that she has completed this work, we have completed this work, and we are able then to turn and look at this beautiful scene. With everything restored, we know that it's going to go safely into the future. I love the women artists that are present in this building, and to have a woman conservator looking back at the work of this woman who traveled across Texas after fabricating her own darkroom on the back of a truck. It's a beautiful moment to have that come full circle.
I don't know if Polly in the 1930s realized the impact that she would have. Her attempt was to show, to display life in Texas. And this brings life in Texas back to life, if you will. And so I hope it would put a smile on Polly's face, that her work and what she had to endure to do that work is now, once again, deeply appreciated. We have a double happy ending. The hall has been fully restored, and the oratones, which are so unique in America, we've been able to restore those. So we have found that silver lining, if you will, or maybe a gold lining in all of this.